and I will probably get them less expensive than the university. Marketing segmentation. Okay. Basically, what segmentation is looking at all of the people who can possibly buy our stuff. And then we want to group them into groups of people who match specific characteristics. Okay. So the question is why? Why do we want to do that? Well, if people have similar characteristics, they tend to behave in a similar fashion. Okay, I'll say that again. People who have similar characteristics tend to behave in a similar fashion. Okay. So, why is that important? Well, when we are creating our target market or we are creating our marketing programs, if people behave in a similar fashion, then our marketing program will have a similar effect on people in that group. Okay, so that's why we want to segment our market. So how can we do that? Here are some general ways. Geographic segmentation, dividing the market by geographic area. Okay, how we divide the market by geographical area is up to us. Okay, here's one way to do it. North America versus Europe. Asia versus Africa. Those are dividing up the market, great big chunks. Okay. Let's go Canada versus the US. Japan versus Taiwan. Australia versus New Zealand. Italy versus France. Okay, so we can go down to a finer level. Let's go down to the next level. Let's go Ontario versus British Columbia. The next level, let's go Vancouver versus Kamloops. The next level, let's go North Shore versus South Shore. Next level, Sahalee versus downtown. Next level, McGill Street versus Whistler Street. Okay. So how we choose to divide up is completely up to us and what makes sense. If I am a, restaurant in Kamloops, do I really care about Asia versus Europe? No. Do I even care about Ontario versus BC? No. Vancouver versus Kamloops? No. North Shore versus South Shore? Okay, now we're starting to get interesting. Okay. Demographic segmentation. Dividing things up by age, income, education level, marital status. Okay. These are done quite frequently. Why? Because certain groups within demographics really do behave fairly consistently. Okay, if go back to that questionnaire that I told you about that I usually ask students, right? What are the top 3 ways that you communicate electronically with each other? Versus what are the top 2 ways your mom does? Okay, the top 3 ways changes over the years for students. Okay, the top 2 ways for your mom tend to not change over the years. Since I've been doing this close to 10 years, the top 2 ways you envision your mom communicating electronically with her friends are old school text, SMS messages, and Facebook. Those haven't changed in close to 10 years. Okay. But the types of social networks that you use to communicate with your friends has. Okay. So if we are going after somebody who is 80 to 85 years old, how do you think they communicate electronically? Well, many of them don't. So if we're going to spend a large amount of money on a social media campaign for 80-plus-year-olds, that could be a problem. Where do 80-plus-year-olds get their information from? television and newspaper, television and radio, okay? So the demographic segmentation can be important. It's easy to figure out our segments that way. What else? Income statement or income segmentation, right? Are we marketing this to an area, this is a little geography as well, that is very wealthy? Or are we marketing this to an area that is poor? That brings in a little geography as well, but we can just remove that. Is this a luxury good? Is this going after people who are wealthy? Is this a commodity good? Is this something that anybody would want? Okay. Coming through the recent election in the US, you can dig into some demographic data as to who voted for whom. One of the areas where Biden made some major inroads in a couple states was he took some votes away from non-university educated white males. Okay, he still lost that vote. Like if you just took non-university educated white males, he still lost that vote, but he didn't lose it by as much. So he technically gained, and that helped him win the presidency. Okay, so demographic segmentation plays at a lot of different levels. So psychographic segmentation. This is looking at people's values, attitudes, interests. Okay, what are the values of millennials? The values of Gen Z, the values of the baby boomers. Okay, by selecting people who have a certain type of attitude, we can market towards those people, right? Interests, people who love dogs, okay? People who love big dogs, people who love little dogs, things like that, right? Do I market differently to people with big dogs and little dogs? Possibly, depends on what my product is, right? So we can break them down by what their attitude or interest is, or values. And behavioral segmentation. We can divide the market based on people's behavior towards a product. How about this one? The use of cloth diapers. Okay, some people will only ever use cloth diapers and wash them and reuse them and recycle them, and some people will only ever use paper diapers. Okay, there is a behavioral segmentation. Okay, if you are a cloth diaper user, clearly, if we had a cloth diaper product, we would market to you in a certain way. Okay, if you were a paper diaper user, we would market in a different way. Okay, and trying to convert back and forth, is that something we want to do? We'd have to decide. So let's look at a little more detailed breakdown here of some of the potential segmentations. Geographic. Oh, here's a good one we didn't talk about before, is the size. The size of the area we're going after. Kamloops is generally considered to be just under 100,000 people. Okay. Here's the thing. Does a town between 20 and 50,000 people behave dramatically differently than a town of 100 to 250,000? Possibly. Okay. But by knowing those markets, maybe we have some sort of, I don't know, software product that is ideally suited to towns of less than 100,000 people. Why? Because it doesn't have enough complexity to handle 500,000, but certainly for anywhere from 50 to 100,000, our product might be great. Could we sell that to municipalities in Canada that have between 50 and 100,000 people? Yes. Okay. What else? Urban, suburban, rural. Yes, people in different areas behave differently. Car ownership. Urban car ownership versus rural car ownership. I would hazard a guess to say that rural car ownership has much higher percentage of car ownership than do people who live in urban areas. Why? Because people who live in urban areas have alternatives. They can walk, they can take public transit, they have car shares, they have Ubers, they have taxis. People who live in rural areas tend not to have any of those things. Okay. Age, I already spoke a bit about age, right? Remember, if we're going after old people, we would use different marketing techniques than if we're going after people in a university age range. We have genders. Male, female is a little limited here. We have many more genders to look at. Generational cohort. We've talked a bit about this. Baby boomers. 46 to 64. I've told you guys, I'm at the end of the baby boomer. I was a 64 baby. Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, the millennials, echo boomers, right? They tend to behave similarly. And you notice the words I'm using. Tend to behave similarly. Tend to have similar interests. Tend to have, right? Because is it true for every baby boomer? No. Is it true for a lot of them? Probably, right? Marital status can be another way of dividing people up. If you're a divorce lawyer, well, certainly, who are you looking at? Your target market is separated people without a doubt, I would think, because if you're separated, divorce is the likely next step, right? What else? Family size. How many people are in your family, right? If you have, I don't know, 10 kids, maybe families with 10 kids behave differently than families with 2. I don't know. Perhaps they do. Okay. Education is another one. At what level of education? On a worldwide basis, I believe it's about 6.5% to 7% of people have a university degree. In Canada, it is somewhere around 25, 26, 27% have a university degree. Okay, that can have an impact. Also, ethnic origin and culture, right? People from different ethnicities and different cultures tend to behave similar to their own culture. Again, hear the words, tends to behave, right? Occupation, people in certain occupations as well tend to behave similarly. And religion, again, people of certain religions tend to behave similarly to people of that same religion. Okay, tend to. Again, listen to the words. What else? Psychographic segmentation, a little deeper here. What type of personality type are you? Are you extroverted? Are you introverted? Are you ambitious? Are you super outgoing? Okay. What about social class? Are you working class, upper class, middle class? Lifestyle. What kind of lifestyle do you lead? Are you active? Are you outdoorsy? Are you intellectual? Are you a gamer? Are you all different kinds of things? Behavioral segmentation. Okay, what's part of this? Well, what are you looking for? That's the benefits sought, right? What are you looking for? Are you looking for status? Right? If I wear a Rolex, everybody will go, oh, he's got a Rolex. Right? If I drive a Lexus or a Mercedes, is status part of it? Or is it quality? Right? Are you looking for high quality? Okay. What kind of user are you? Do you use it a lot, a little bit, medium? Maybe we want to take our light users and make them medium to heavy users. Where are you in relation to my product? This is user status. Are you a current user? Are you a first-time user? Are you an ex-user, i.e. used before and quit? We can use these things and base our customer journey on whether or not you've tried our product before. Okay? And loyalty status. Where do you fall? Are you like me with Crest toothpaste or Heinz ketchup? Are you super strong loyal? Or have you no allegiance to the product? And again, we can shape our marketing offerings based on who you are, based on these things. Okay, so target marketing. Basically, target marketing is directing our marketing efforts towards that group that we feel we can serve at a profit. Okay, so if we are target marketing, we are going after most likely one of the segments that we've defined from the previous few slides. Mass marketing is developing our marketing efforts to appeal to a large group of people. Okay, so mass marketing would be trying to sell to everybody in Kamloops. Target marketing would be trying to sell to university students in Kamloops. Okay, niche marketing is finding small market segments and having our product offerings fit for them. Right? What would niche marketing be? Dog collars for small dogs. There we go. So we make really cute, really tiny dog collars with, I don't know, diamonds and sparkles and stuff for small dogs. Okay, that would be niche marketing. And micro marketing is basically trying to create a unique mix of products and goods to deliver at a very small, even one-to-one level. Okay. This could also be under kind of mass customization, those type of things as well. Product positioning. Basically, product positioning is where we want our product to fit into the minds of our customers relative to our competition. Okay, so product positioning is where we want our product to fit in our target customers' minds relative to the competition. What is product positioning? Let's see if I can pull out an example for you here. Walmart. What is one of Walmart's slogans? Something to the effect of low everyday prices. Okay, so Walmart is positioning their brand, their marketing efforts, their store on the concept of low everyday prices. That's what they want to fit into our head. Okay, and I'm sure some version of that probably is banging around in your head if you're familiar with Walmart or shop at Walmart, right? Walmart's strategy is fascinating, and it's worked very well for them. They want the lowest priced product on the 200 most used consumable products. Okay, one more time. They want the lowest price of any of their competitors on the most used 200 consumable products. Okay, let's think about this. Consumable products. Those are products that we use. Consumable, we use them, they disappear. We need more. What's that? Dish soap, shampoo. Okay, anything that gets used up, cleaning equipment, toilet paper, Lysol. Okay, so most use. So we can figure out what sells most in the world in consumable products. Walmart did. They want the lowest price on those. Why? Because if you have the lowest price on those are the things people use most often. Those are the things people have to buy most often. And if you have your Walmart position in people's heads as this is the cheapest place to buy stuff, then guess what? They are going to keep coming back and buying those things. Is Walmart the lowest place or lowest price for everything? No. but they are the lowest price for the 200 most used consumable items. So it's like, oh man, I need shampoo. Oh, Walmart's cheap. Oh, I need this. Walmart's cheap. Oh, I need that. Walmart's cheap. You go to Walmart and you have the idea when you walk through the door that things are cheap, and you can prove it because your shampoo's $2 less expensive here. Then that sticks in your head and you will buy other stuff as well. Okay, product positioning. Positioning statement. This is how we want you to perceive us. Okay, Walmart's positioning statement. We are the lowest priced everyday whatever. Nah. Hang on, I'm going to go look that one up. Okay, so apparently Walmart's saying was always low prices up until 2007, and then they changed it to save money, live better, but also the everyday low prices thing just kind of, that's a concept, but they've kind of adopted it as their own apparently. So relationship marketing. So we want to create these relationships with our customers, right? So the idea is that we want them to develop an association in their mind with our product and eventually get to that point where our product is uniquely satisfied to meet their needs. So we can do that by creating our products that meet their exact needs at prices that they see value in. Okay, so on to the next. So consumer behavior. What are some of the things that go into how our consumers purchase? Okay, so certainly our marketing mix, product, price, place, promotion. They will influence our consumer. What else? Our sociocultural influences. Our reference group, family, social class, culture, subculture. Okay, so our reference group, who are our peers? Right? If all of my peers buy Mercedes and I buy a Toyota, how's that going to look? Reference groups can have a huge impact on decision making. Our family. What has happened within our family? How does our family behave? Right? If our family always buys organic food, then I am more likely to buy organic food. Social class, right? Upper class, middle class, working class. What goes on within that group as well? What do we see other people who are members of that group doing? Again, we tend to behave similarly as other people in our target segments. Culture has an impact, certainly in food choices. Are we come from a culture that likes spicy food, or do we come from a culture that likes bland food? And subculture can have an influence as well. Okay, although I am Canadian, I am originally from Ontario. I do not eat as much seafood as people from Prince Edward Island. Okay, I do like seafood, I do love seafood, but I don't eat as much seafood as people from Prince Edward Island. We're part of the same Canadian culture, but part of different subcultures. Okay? Psychological influences, perception, attitude, learning, and motivation. Certainly, how we are feeling at any given time can have an impact on our behavior. If we are sad, if we are happy, if we are mad, okay, those things can influence our behavior. Situational influences, what I'm buying, what I'm surrounded with socially, what is our physical surroundings like at this moment? What about previous experience with something? So let's say physical surroundings. They put all the individual chocolate bars right at the cash register. Why? Because it is a what? It is a snap decision purchase. Okay, you don't go into a grocery store with the thought of, I'm going to buy a chocolate bar at the front counter when I check out, generally. I'm sure some of us have at times, but generally, right? You're in the grocery store, you've got all this food in your buggy, then you're like, oh, I can't wait to get home and eat, so I'm going to grab a chocolate bar now. So those can have an impact as well. What is the current situation we're in? So how do we go about deciding what we're going to do? Well, first of all, we need to recognize the problem or the situation, right? We do some sort of information search that sometimes may be very quick or not at all. And sometimes it may be long and involved. We look at our alternatives. What are our choices? Do I need this? Is there a substitute? What is the value this brings versus the value of the substitute? We eventually make a decision, yes or no. Do we buy? Do we not buy? And then we evaluate the decision after. That's our post-purchase evaluation. And we look for cognitive dissonance. So cognitive dissonance is, in essence, what's an easy way to describe it? When you have some inconsistency. Okay. What do I mean by that? Well, you purchased it, you thought it was great, then you got it home and went, what? Why did I buy this? Or what's going on? That would be an example of cognitive dissonance. I'm a big supporter of things on Kickstarter and Indiegogo. And sometimes I get a product that shows up at my house and I open it up and I'm like, Mark, really? What were you thinking? That would be cognitive dissonance. Okay. So basically some inconsistency in your thought process related to that decision. So marketing is a process of determining our customers' wants and needs and providing them with goods and services. Okay. Nice and simple in concept, but is very complex when we get into it. Marketing is done everywhere. It's done for our for-profit businesses, as we would expect. It's also done for not-for-profit and charity sector. And it's done by politicians. Okay, it's done everywhere. Okay, it's done by us personally, right? If you've ever tried to impress a member of somebody you would like to date, then guess what? You're marketing yourself. If you've ever gone to a job interview, you're marketing yourself. Right? 4 P's of marketing in our marketing mix: product, price, promotion, place. Okay, you need to be aware of those, need to know how they impact. You need to make decisions surrounding those. Okay. We very often use market research, and we can develop that ourselves, in which case that's primary research, or we can find out information from other sources. That is secondary research. B2B and B2C are different. Our customers are different. How they buy is different. Okay, we need to be aware of that. We need to be aware of the characteristics of B2B versus B2C. And we also have marketing segmentation. This is breaking up of the larger market into smaller groups that will tend to behave similarly. Right? Smaller groups that will tend to behave similarly. Okay, for instance, if you looked at, people my age in a committed relationship with 2 near teenage kids versus a university student, chances are what I'm putting in my grocery buggy or my grocery cart is quite a bit different than what a university student would. Right? So if you ran into other people who are my age in a committed relationship with 2 near teenage kids, chances are their cart would match mine closer than it would match yours, right? So we segment the market to look for people that tend to behave in similar fashions. Why? Because that can be the recipient of our marketing programs to the greatest effect. Okay. And lastly, consumer behavior is a study of the thought process surrounding how people buy. Okay. How people buy based on what's going on in their mind at any given point and the influences that are there. That's it. That is the end of our first chapter on marketing, and I will go into the second chapter shortly. Hey there, Mark here. Today we are going to continue with marketing into chapter 15, which is managing the marketing mix, product, price, place, and promotion. There we go. So we're going to look at what a total product offer is and get into that. What else? We'll look at the product life cycle and see what's going on there. And we'll examine some strategies around pricing and why non-pricing strategies are gaining more in importance as we move forward through time. We'll look at marketing channels and what retailing is and what it means. And we'll look at the traditional tools that make up the promotion mix. So again, like everything, new chapter comes with some definitions. So value. What is value? Value is good quality at a fair price. When we look at the value of a product, we look at the benefits we get out of that product, and we look at what the product costs. And then we look to see if the benefits exceed the costs, and that's how we determine value. The interesting thing about value is it can be very individualistic. Certainly, I consider Heinz ketchup a good value. Why? Because it gives me that really good benefit for whatever price I pay for it. Others may not see it that way, right? So others may determine that the benefit they get from the purchasing of the ketchup does not exceed the value of the ketchup. So they would look for a better value ketchup. Okay. Total product offer. Okay, so that essentially is everything that a consumer will evaluate when deciding to make the purchase, right? It includes the tangible things like the product, the package, what it looks like, what it feels like, but it also includes intangible things like the reputation of the manufacturer or the image of the product or the feeling I anticipate getting by owning that product. Okay? So there's a lot that goes into that product offer. Here are some of those things that go into that product offer. All right, let's start with the upper left. Price. You know, is it at a price that is affordable to me right now? What are the surroundings I'm in? What's the situation I'm in? What does the store look like? Is there a guarantee? What other things go top right? Brand name. Is this a recognizable brand name? We generally are all willing to pay more for a brand name product. And brands know this, and brands price accordingly. And certainly a large part of certain brands' price is afforded to the brand. Can you find a car of similar quality to a Mercedes at less price? Yes. Okay. Certain part of buying a Mercedes is it's a Mercedes. Okay. What else? Service. Is there service included? Is there service available? Is there service here? How fast it can be delivered? Okay, if there's delivery. Bottom left, package. Certainly packages make us buy stuff, right? Even in the grocery store. Very often we'll go up and we'll pick something up and we'll look at it because the package caught my eye. Or it's a different package than I'm expecting for that good. What else can be associated with the package? Certainly the feeling you get when you open it, right? Remember that feeling I talked about before of sliding that top box off your new iPhone, right? Whoosh, that little suction you get, that's very satisfying, which also goes to buyer's past experience, right? What has been my experience buying an iPhone? What has been my experience buying that product? Oh, a manufacturer of something that I buy their other products came out with a new product. Am I willing to try it? Depends on the reputation of the producer. Depends on how I feel about that producer. Do I buy a lot of products from that company? I'm probably more willing to buy it. Okay. They have a good reputation. I'm probably more willing to buy it. People know that Nike brand shoes tend to be of good quality. So they influences their buying decision. Bottom right, convenience. How easy is it for me to buy this? Certainly, we want to make it as easy as possible for our consumers to buy our products, right? How easy is it? Can I buy it in the store? Can I buy it online? What is the image that has been created by advertising? Does LeBron wear it? Does Kim Kardashian endorse it? Right? Those are part of the image that we might want to associate with our product. So, product line and product mix, things you need to know. Right? A product line is a group of products that are physically similar or intended for a similar market. Okay? iPhones. Okay, if you notice how iPhones come out, they tend to come out with one model first, and then we get derivatives. Right? We have an expensive model, we generally have a mid-range model, and we have a lower cost entry-level model. Okay, iPhones would be a product line. Product mix is a combination of product lines offered by the manufacturer. Okay, so in the case of Apple, we're looking at product lines. What product lines do we have? We have iPhones, we have iPads, we have desktop computers in general. Okay, don't really have too many desktops anymore. They're more laptops. Okay, so those would be 3 product lines, and those product lines would be part of the product mix offered by Apple. All right. And lastly, product differentiation. It is the perceived or real differences in our product from the competition. Okay. The perceived or real differences in our product. Okay. And yes, perception is a huge thing. Okay. iPhones are the cool phone. That is a perceived difference. Okay. Which everybody who owns an iPhone right now is going, no, it's a real difference. No, they are cool. Won't argue with you there. Remember, product differentiation is the perceived or real difference. Okay. Let's get back here. There we go. So, packaging. Packaging changes the product. It does. It can attract our attention. Okay, next time you're walking down the grocery store, the aisle in the grocery store, just notice when your head turns. You're walking down, you might be looking something, and then you might go, oh, think about why your head turned. What is it that caught your eye in the grocery store? Okay, it would have been something with a package, most likely, or possibly a promotion, right? What else? The package needs to protect the product, right? It needs to be shipped, it needs to be handled, it needs to be put on the shelf, it needs to protect the product, and it also needs to deter theft. So the idea behind deterring theft is we don't want it to be too easy for somebody to be able to take the product out of the package, slide it in their pocket, and leave the store. And there's all different ways we can do that. But here's the other side of that coin is we want it to be easy to open. Yeah, so if we're deterring theft, that usually means it's not easy to open back and forth. And so we can see where the emphasis is based on how tough it is for us to actually open a product once we get it. What else? It needs to give us information about the product. Some of it's legal information. For instance, if you're buying a food product, the food product is required to have a list of ingredients on it and certain other information. But it can also give us benefits of the product. It can tell us what the product does, or might have the instructions. So it does need to have some sort of information. What else? Often it will give you information about the warranty, or where you can go to get more information, and it will give us some idea about the value it offers, what uses it can be good for, and somehow either attached directly or on a sign right beside it, it'll give us the price, or should anyway. So, product life cycle. Basically, what happens to a product and how our sales work over time. There's an introduction phase, a growth phase, maturity phase, and decline phase, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see a graph. Oh, look, there's a graph. Okay, so what we are looking at is a general curve. Okay, let's look at the blue curve. Okay, so what happens with the blue curve? We see a product comes out, or a product category is introduced, okay, and the sales start to go up. This is the introduction phase at the left, where all electric cars are. Okay, then we see a growth phase where the curve starts and then starts to go up fairly steep. Okay, what happens then is we get into maturity, where things start to level off. That's where smartphones are. And then finally, we will see an eventual decline as sales start to taper off. And the example they have here are video cassette recorders. Okay, so all electric cars, here they're saying they're in the introduction phase. I'd say they're getting closer to a growth phase. Hybrid cars are definitely in a growth phase. They came out before all electric cars, and they've been growing quite a bit over the last few years. Smartphones are definitely in the maturity phase. Okay, when's the last time you met somebody or saw somebody who doesn't have a smartphone? Right? They're definitely in maturity, and video cassette recorders, I'd say, are definitely on the decline. I'd say that is not generous enough in the decline. I'd say it's much closer to the end. So what do we see with profit? This is the reddish orange line. Okay, so what happens with profit? With profit, we see it negative at the start. And then over time, we will see the profit start to increase to the point of we are actually seeing some profit. Now, whether that happens in the introduction phase or closer to the growth phase, it depends a lot on the product category, the number of people in that product category, and various aspects like that. But generally, somewhere mid to late introduction, we should probably see some sort of profit start to come around. And we will see that profit kind of increase over time. And I would say that the total industry profit would tend to peak closer to the maturity phase than it shows on this graph, but somewhere in the growth or into the maturity phase. And then over time, we will see the total industry profit start to drop off. Once it gets to the point of the total industry profit hitting zero, chances are there aren't going to be very many of products left in that product category anyway, because if the total industry profit is zero, then that product is not going to be produced because we can't produce it competitively anymore, possibly because it's been replaced by new technology, et cetera, et cetera. So what happens here? So if we are looking at what our goals are, okay, so at the start, there isn't very much competition. So part of it is about gaining awareness. Okay, as more competition comes in, we're going to stress our differentiation. And then when there is lots of competition, we want to maintain our brand loyalty. And harvesting and deletion, this refers to towards the end of the product life cycle where we want to milk it for as much as we can get. Okay, so eventually we will see our competitors drop off. We might even drop off, okay, and somebody else may continue. Okay. What about with products? When there's one, there's certainly an awareness that needs to be gained, right? As we get more products available, we need to stress our differentiation. Full product line, again, we want our products to what? To keep our customers to maintain their loyalty. And so we can look at the various aspects. With price, in the awareness section, we want to gain market penetration or potentially market skim, depending on where we stand. We have limited distribution, and we want to inform and educate about our new product. Okay. Informing and educating is always difficult. It always is difficult if you're coming out with something so different that you've got to spend all your time educating. That makes for really tough sales. Okay. As we get more competition, we are looking at stressing our differentiation. Across the price, we may be looking at a new pricing strategy to gain market share, to give deals, etc., etc. We have more places to offer them for sale. And again, our promotion, we are stressing why we are different than the others. Okay. Once we get to a lot of competition and kind of in the maturity, possibly late growth phase, we want to defend our market share and maintain our profit. Okay, because we realize that the profit is going to go away eventually, so we want to keep as much of it as possible and get our product out to as many places as possible, the biggest distribution. Our promotion features here in a mature market are when we are looking to remind people that we are still their favorite. Okay. And then lastly, in the end, when we were looking at the deletion of a product, the end of the product life cycle, we are looking to stay profitable in our pricing strategy. It still needs to be enough to maintain profit and get as much out of it as we can. And this is where we will start to pull back on our distribution, because distribution in too many places can be costly. And lastly, promotion, again, as our product will most likely decline in price, we are not going to be spending as much on promotion in order to keep money to grow our profits. So, talking about price, our decisions around price can change over time, all right? And we touched a bit on it back here, okay? So what are some of the things that will force that change over time, or some of the things we need to be considerate of at any point in the pricing decision timeframes that we need, all right? What are some of our objectives around price? Are we looking to get a specific return on investment? I want this much return, or ROI. I want this much profit. Are we looking to build traffic and by that building sales, like getting more units out the door? Are we looking to get a greater market share? Are we trying to create an image? This is usually around a higher price product, right? People have the baseline premise that you get what you pay for. So if it's more expensive, that can help create an image of luxury, of exclusivity, okay? And are we trying to promote social objectives, right? That can have an impact on our price. Are we trying to make the price as reasonable as possible to open up our product to as many people as possible who could benefit from it? Okay, so all different pricing considerations. So how do we go about setting a price? One is cost base. We base our price based on what it cost us to make and what we want our profit margin to be. I want my profit margin to be 18%. So I take the product, I at 18% and I sell it for that. We can base our pricing based on demand. So what does that mean? Well, we know at higher prices there, according to economics, will be less demand for most products. So where do we set it? We set it based on our customers' ability to pay, as well as how much profit we want. That's one way of doing it. We can base our pricing based on our competition. We can figure out what our competition is selling for and base our price on that. Our product's better than X, so we'll charge more. Our product does the same, but we're a luxury brand, so we'll charge more. Our product does the same thing as our competitors, but we are a low-cost brand. We'll charge less. We can also follow the price leader. Sometimes there is one or two big players that in essence set the price. The price must be this. And then everybody else in essence has to charge around that much, or they just won't be able to make any sales. This is a situation in Manitoba and Saskatchewan when it comes to cell phones. There are cell phone plans. Okay, the government of Saskatchewan and the government of Manitoba are the largest cell phone plan providers in those provinces and have a mandate to keep the phone plans reasonably priced. As a result, if you are TELUS or Rogers or Koodo or any other Canadian cell phone plan provider, you need to be priced close to what SaskTel or Manitoba cell phone prices are. As a result, Saskatchewan and Manitoba tend to have the lowest priced cell phone plans in Canada. Again, tend to. So, break-even analysis. Good to know. Why? Because we want to make money, right? No money, no business, so we need to make money. So break-even analysis is basically the process we use to figure out whether or not we'll be profitable at any given sales level. So if we sell 100 units, are we going to be profitable? If we sell 500 units, are we going to be profitable? Are we going to be profitable at 1,000 or some other number? Okay. In order to understand that, you need to understand two different types of costs. First is your total fixed cost. A fixed cost is a cost that will remain whether or not we make or sell any products. Okay. A fixed cost is an expense that will be there irregardless of whether or not we make or sell any products. A variable cost is a cost that will change with a different level of production. Okay. So, different types of pricing strategies. What is skimming? Okay. We realize that when we come out with a new product, there may be a certain group of people who always want the latest and the greatest, who always want to be first to have something. So if we know that, we can what? We can price skim. We can set our early prices super high because they're going to buy it irregardless of what the price is. So that would be price skimming. Then we can lower the price over time. Okay. Penetration strategy is to price a product super low that everybody just wants to get it, and our competitors are like, oh man, that is so low, I can't make money there, and they'll stay away. Okay. So penetration pricing is a price so low that it gets all kinds of people to buy with the idea of I am getting into this market in a big way. Everyday low pricing is setting our prices lower than our competition and not really having any sales. Okay. Everyday low pricing. So setting our prices low, and we don't need to have sales because our prices are just low all the time. Okay. High-low pricing is to have higher prices than your everyday low pricing competitors, but you have sales where you drop the price below them. Okay, so that's high-low pricing. And psychological pricing is pricing stuff at a price point that makes it appear less expensive than it is. And right now I'm drawing a blank on that one. If I think of a good example, I'll let you know.